Morning from the east side of Zion National Park.
Checkerboard Mesa.
Checkerboard Mesa, isn't that interesting looking? Yeah, so we are gonna take a bit of a leisurely day. We're gonna ride the shuttle through the main part of the park. We've only done that once before with the kids and several years ago, so we're just gonna kind of chill. Michelle's ankles are all swollen up from...
I got gankles.
She's got gankles.
I don't know what's going on, but...
And I had... It's a little embarrassing, but I had a tragedy with some nail clippers. I was... Stop it.
Tragedy.
It was a tragedy. I was clipping my toenails and something, I don't know, at the last second, I like twitched and cut off a big... Shut up! Cut off a big part of my nail and it... on my second toe is just kind of hurting badly because I just cut deep into the quick. So considering that we have like 20 miles to hike tomorrow and the next day, we're just gonna let it heal up a little bit. We're gonna pick up our permits to do the Narrows top down, and we're gonna pick up our gear for tomorrow and just enjoy the park. We've kind of been hard charging ahead, and that's some of the adrenaline rush is wearing off and kind of catching up with us, and you can't maintain continuous high of excitement, and we're not going to try. So some coffee, some cribbage, some leisure, some beauty, some worship music, some Bible reading.
Just being like really chill tourists today is really exciting.
Just chill
actually.
Tourists, yeah. Not my style, but you can't maintain the hard charging 100% of the time. So, all right, well. Beautiful.
I'm just going to catch you standing
place.
in the middle of the road taking pictures of stuff as a little tourist.
What? Stop it. How rude of you. How rude of you. Oh my gosh, this place is just... The glimpses that you get of these things. I want to see if I can try and film that, like the canyon within the canyon thing I saw yesterday. I'll try and catch it here. No, not really, but it's beautiful. Might also be this one right here.
This is where on YouTube they say like 25 minutes later, it might be this one right here.
Yeah, 25 minutes later. Or they say like through the magic of television, we're gonna cut to it. But see, I'm not a very good editor, so I just...
So they just have to travel along for the whole 25 minutes.
Yeah, that one. There it is. It's just like this, this whole other world of it. Stop 9 on the shuttle into the main canyon of Zion. You can walk about a mile on a paved path to the end of the Narrows, which is kind of where Michelle and I will be in 2 days. They call this the Temple of Shenandoah.
No.
It's not Shenandoah. Sinawava.
Something like that.
Sinawava. And yeah, it's just really pretty. We're looking for climbers. Haven't seen any yet, but we'll point out how small they are if we do spot some. What do you think?
So cool in here.
It is beautiful.
Really beautiful.
There's the Virgin River. The wilderness ranger said that we'll be swimming certain sections of the Narrows, so excited to swim.
It's probably cold.
It's probably super warm. And Michelle just said, oh look, there's seashells. There's a little beach over there, but they're pistachios.
It's just like a little beach.
Your imagination is almost too good. The tide's coming in. And it's really cool. Stop number 8. It's not very populated here. There's some climbers up there. Probably, yeah, right there. You can see their bags. They're just above it. They got like some tubular, cylindrical looking bags. Maybe able to spot. I suppose they plan on sleeping out there based on that amount of gear, although I may be wrong. I don't know. Grotto, and you can see that's Angel's Landing up there. You can see people walking around barely, but only with the naked eye, not with the camera. Let's walk over there a little bit. Riverside coffee time. That's Angel's Landing proper. You can see people up on top, as I've already mentioned, and I'm now boring you with that information. Sometimes I forget what I've already said. This is the grotto area. A little overpopulated, but still very pretty. Zion Lodge stop is a nice one. This big, beautiful tree and the canyon walls. Oh yeah. Something about nice grass, the thistles and the bushes and the sand, it can kind of get to you. I feel like it gets to me anyway. A bit pokey. It's just not that inviting. It doesn't feel homey. I think that's one thing. Zion doesn't feel homey in the same way that Yosemite feels homey. When you're in Yosemite Valley, it's like this could be home. I don't feel like you feel that way here. This feels too hostile. Beautiful, no doubt, but just too hostile. Not enough resources. But there's some resources there in the lodge. Bridges are really fun. They're insulated electrically from the ground, so you build up a huge static charge. I'm gonna film you.
No.
And then you film me.
No, just you go for it.
Come on, you're gonna be a baby on. Come on. Come on, hold on me. Go ahead, do it.
It wasn't that bad.
All right, let me do it.
The first one was really bad.
Ah! You won't do it now because I got you. Oh, it's a baby one. Boring.
So fun.
Well, it's been kind of a weird day, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think in the end we realized how much we miss our kids today. It's just kind of been like more of a down, drowsy, tired day, and we found that we're like more irritable or easily irritable.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, it's just, I don't know, it was weird. Like we pulled into the visitor center this morning and someone was blocking. There's like, the visitor center here in Zion is a train wreck. I mean, it's just, there's a deficit of parking. There's like 200 parking spots, but there's just this deficit of it. And there's this person blocking, you know, a pedestrian standing in a parking spot, basically holding it for someone, which really isn't allowed. And so, you know, I rolled down my window. I was like, hey, excuse me, I'm going to park here. And she just immediately just like blew up. No, you can't take it. It's mine. And it's like, yeah. And then, you know, we left and found a different. Michelle just drove around while I went in and got our wilderness permit. And the ranger was just, honestly, like, I hate to say this because there are some really cool rangers, but man, 9 out of 10 rangers we've interacted with have really been like, I don't know, unfriendly, unkind. I feel for them. I feel like maybe they've become like wilderness cops. Like they're just out there checking permits and making sure people are following the rules and not touching animals. And you know, I feel bad for them because, you know, they probably didn't sign up to be wilderness cops. They signed up to, you know, love nature or something like that. But man, we haven't done anything wrong. We haven't gotten in trouble, but just like most of the rangers have just been really not cool, and they've also given a lot of inconsistent information and contradicted one another. Anyway, then parking in Springdale is a total tragedy. It's just impossible, and so we ended up parking quite far away, which is no big deal, to save some money on parking.
We went at like a really terrible time. I mean, it was like noon.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew that it was going to be.
Right.
And then we just decided to see how it was and
be tourists.
Figure it out. Yep.
We've been here twice before, and you know, we just kind of slept in this morning, and again, just weren't feeling super energetic. But yeah, I don't know. It was just, and then we just kind of were talking about the demographic of people in here, and it's a little bit like Arches, I think. And like, so like, it takes like, from the nearest town, it takes almost an hour to get into Yosemite. And it probably takes something similar to that to get into Sequoia Kings Canyon. And so it feels like the people in there, they have this like, I want to go here, it's worth it, I'm going to head in there for a couple of days, I'm going to kind of like make camp, settle in, call it my home. And Arches, because of Moab, and Zion, because of Springdale, it feels like there's lots of people who are staying at like hotels or, you know, normal accommodations, like not campers or anything like that, and then they're just popping in for the day. And of course that's allowed. I'm not trying to criticize it, but it changes, I don't know, it changes the demographic of people. And you may be familiar with this, like if you if you do a lot in the outdoors, you may notice that the creeks and the beaches and the cool places that are like quarter mile from the car or 3/4 of a mile from the car, they're often like really littered up. People have, they're hauling out a cooler full of beer and they're partying and they're leaving trash all over. And then if you hike 20 miles in, you don't find that. And I don't just mean like the litter and the trash, I mean like also the demographic of people. It's just, in general, it's just like a different kind of person that takes 20 miles to go out and see something beautiful versus the person who just takes like a 5-minute walk and then plops down their picnic blanket. And you can like sense that somehow. There's like, I feel like there's less patience. It feels more like an airport. You're being like shuttled around and herded like sheep, and people don't seem to be as kind of appreciative and aware. And I don't know. It's just an observation. It's not a fact, and we may be wrong. But anyway, then at the end of the day, I got an email from my daughter, which in and of itself is crazy. They have email addresses now, and my 9-year-old daughter wrote us a letter, an email, and just said, hey, Mama and Papa, and I'm having so much fun, and I caught some fish the other day, and yeah, it just like stirred in me, just like this, man, I miss my kids. I love my wife, but we made these 3 incredible things together, and man, I miss them. And I just thought, they wouldn't have been down today. They wouldn't have noticed those things. They would have been chipper and fun. And so one of the things, last time we went to on a 55-day tour of the national parks, we finished our trip with Theodore Roosevelt National Park. And I mean, it's not a terrible park, but in the grand scale of ranking, it's not that high. And we were just talking about how kind of depressing it is. Like, you do these incredible, amazing things, and then you kind of end with something a little bit more mundane, not so grandiose. And we've been talking about how the order in which you do things, like if we had gone to Teddy Roosevelt first, I think the kids probably would have, we all would have had fun. And then we would have worked our way up, Sequoia and Yosemite and Glacier. But we did the other way around, just geographically. And yeah, it was like really depressing. And then you feel guilty, like here I am on vacation, in a beautiful place, and some people have never gotten to be out here, and some people are working right now, and here I am, with a bad attitude, and then you feel bad for your bad attitude. But then it's like, it's based on something too. That attitude comes from somewhere, and so you still can choose your attitude, but then it's also like, it's not exactly an attitude, it's more like a mood. Anyway, all of that kind of analysis, this one and I tend to do a lot of. Do you have anything you want to add? All the food tastes bad.
All our food that we bought tastes bad today.
We've been brushing our teeth with Dr. Bronner's soap, and it just like over many, many days, it doesn't cut it. And so we just bought some toothpaste. We're like, man, we just gotta get some normal toothpaste. Our teeth are just suffering.
I feel like, I was just thinking, one thing is that Zion feels a bit like there's like attractions, because there's like 8 or 9 shuttle stops inside the park to get you up to the top, and then you can take them back down. So it feels less like you can walk from one place to another, and more like you have to like get on a shuttle to go from one place to another. So that definitely gives a different feel.
Almost feels like one of those hop-on, hop-off tours in Washington, D.C. or something.
I guess today, we were kind of tired out, and we didn't have like a hike planned to do, but it almost made it feel like, well, I don't want to hike, like I can just jump on that bus and it'll take me somewhere. I don't know, that's kind of how I felt, but
I think the other thing with the bus is the shuttle buses. The shuttle buses have a way of like amassing people together, and then it like collects people and then disperses people all at once. Whereas like in Yosemite, they have buses, and some people use them, but lots of people use cars. And like with the buses on a schedule, it's like last bus at 7 p.m. Like you find that there's like this, there's a bighorn sheep. And a guy parked in the middle of the road. Can't do that, buddy. But you find that like the bus schedule, the shuttle schedule and everything, like you get like this mass of 60 people in this small space, and then they all get off the bus and they all disperse and then they all amass again, and you don't really have that in most of the other parks, even with shuttles, because people are still driving and they're not all like synced up on this schedule that causes this collection and dispersion. But then the other thing is like you don't feel like you're kind of free to like explore at your own pace and your own rate, because it's like you got to think about the shuttles and the last shuttle, and so I feel like that's, you know, there was some times, I mean, Yosemite, like we were out till 11 o'clock at night one time, you know, finishing a rock climb, and like, you know, our car was nearby within walking distance, and then the shuttle, like you really can't walk between shuttle stops, so it's really just like kind of all about that bus, and the view from the bus is not very good, like you really can't see things, and so
no, you're just crammed in every time with like, I mean, we stood on the bus most of the time.
yeah, we kept giving up our seats to older people.
So it definitely has more of a crowded feel because you're forced to be in a crowd, I think.
Yeah.
Where the bus is.
And I mean, we have said that Zion is one of our favorites, and I think maybe that's also something to hone in on. That's maybe worth mentioning. It's like there are places that are beautiful, but like the park experience isn't that great. I think the best example is the Redwoods. The Redwoods National Park is a very odd structure. If you look at it on a map, there's like 4 different segments, national park and state park patches. And so you're kind of like just popping in and out of them all the time. Like you could just be driving through accidentally and be like, oh, I'm in a state park, or oh, I'm in a national park, and not even know it. Whereas like Yosemite and Sequoia and some of these arches, like there's like this distinctive moment when it's like you go inside the park and now you're inside this infrastructure and kind of the rules and regulations, and you know, there aren't people like commuting to work, and there aren't people, you know, getting their groceries on the way home from a friend's house like you have in the Redwoods. You kind of have that same thing in Olympic. Olympic is 3 separate sections that in between the national park sections is just, you know, normal land, people doing all kinds of things. And so it's closed. And so you kind of, you might love Arches scenery or something, or you might, you know, love, you know, the beaches in Olympic, but like then the park, the way they set aside the land, the way they structured the visitor centers and the entrances, like it gives it a fragmented feeling versus like Yosemite has this kind of, from 5 entrances, I think it is, you get to like the center, the epicenter of all the energy and activity, and it, you know, it feels like you're at the heart of the park, and you get that to some extent in Sequoia, like in the Grand Grove Village, and then at the Museum of the Giants, Giant Museum, whatever. But like this park doesn't have that. You know, this park, the visitor center is like the very first thing you get to when you come in from the outside Springdale, and then it's just like this linear kind of out and back thing, and there's not loops, and I don't know, it's just it really changes the way you experience the landscape with how they've done the roads and things like that. So anyway, bit of a ramble in 12 minutes. Maybe this is interesting to no one, but
I think I was getting a little bored with us too.
You were getting bored? Okay, well, let's cut it off then. Thanks for listening, Shell.